Hello and welcome back to Ravenstorm Studios, and today we will be reading part 6 of Feathers and Elsewhere University Tale. Before we jump in, I would like to say a quick disclaimer. There will be mild to moderate coarse language in this video, so if you are a child, please check with a parent or guardian before listening to this video. Without further ado, let's begin. Part 6. When you next become aware, your head feels as though it's had the insides of a blender installed and then turned on till your poor brain is a smooth gelatinous liquid. You reach up a hand and are vaguely surprised you don't feel it dripping out your nose. In other news, your mouth tastes like death. Fucking Crow Prince. You groan and roll over so you're on your back instead of curled up in the fetal position. You spend a long moment psyching yourself up and then open your eyes. Above you, once your eyes stop feeling like they're about to pop out from the light, you can see golden motes of dust hanging suspended in the air, drifting lazily, illuminated by the shafts of sunlight that sneak through the wooden slats of the roof. It smells like horses. One hand is still on your head, but you scrabble the fingers of the other on the floor, and yeah, you're lying on dirt. Distantly, you're aware of the sound of a large things breathing quietly, the soft thwip of tails being whipped through the air, the groaning creak of a wooden door complaining at being leaned upon. You're pretty sure you're in a barn. The air tastes strangely. The sunlight creeps through the roof anyway, is heavy. The dirt you scrape your fingers through feels less gritty maybe than you think it should, as though it were born from the idea of dirt more than the slow death of ground stone and decomposing organics. You're pretty sure you're in an Underhill barn. A throat clears and you let gravity pull your head to the side. It's a girl, or rather a woman, if only just. She's sun-worn, well-muscled, wearing a liberal coating of dust and horsehair over jeans and a shirt with its sleeves rolled up, a sword incongruously ornate, both the sheath and hilt, on her hip, and leaning on a pitchfork as she waits for you to notice her. She feels solid. She feels human, and though you'd think she'd feel out of place if she really doesn't. You think maybe this place is hers, the way Dorm 5 now belongs to you. You stare at each other. You're still flat on your back, the woman leaning on her pitchfork until your next inhale brings just a little too much dust in through your nose, and you jackknife up with the force of your sneeze. Several horses snort and shift at the sudden noise, while the woman snorts at you as well. She's distinctly amused, not startled. You want to tell me what the hell is you're doing in my barn? She asks, and manages to imply a total ambivalence as to whether she'll get an answer the easy way, or end up burying her pitchfork in your squishy innards in the doing of it. If only because you're not worth getting her blade dirty. You're a little impressed behind the sudden mortal terror. She didn't even change her body language, and that still came across crystal clear. The woman is perfectly relaxed and absolutely ready to kill you for invading her space. You stall and settle on, I mean no offense. I certainly don't mean to trespass. I don't quite know why I'm in your barn, but, well, I'm pretty sure my companions and I are on a quest. Oh? Her eyes, flinty already narrow. And that's when you realize the others aren't with you. Still, you shoot to your feet, and the woman shifts her weight back. Do you know where they are? You demand, and there's something dark and possessive rousing itself in your breast, and no Crow Prince here to distract you. If she's taken them, if she's hurt them, then you'll scream and you'll bleed and you'll call for the Crow Prince and you'll make yourself a deal. Where's who? Her easy drawl has an edge to it. Her hands tighten on her pitchfork. You falter, rein yourself in, take a breath. You don't know that she's done anything. You're in her space. Now is not the time to start a fight. Deep breaths. My companions, a boy who goes by 13, a girl called Cat Eyes, a changeling called Not Jenna, and a crow who answers when I call him Barnes. Yours, huh? She says, and you know what she's asking. Yes, mine. You'll apologize to Barnes later, but if he didn't want you claiming him, he shouldn't have gone on about how a crow girl can't be without a crow. You're not apologizing to 13 or Cat Eyes. They've been living in your space and following your lead. They can deal with it. She sighs, some of the ready tension leaching out of her. I have no idea where your companions are. Even if I did, you'd still need to leave. Her ladyship'll be by for her afternoon ride pretty soon, and she is much less likely to tolerate someone from the Autumn Court on her lands than I am, quest or no. That throws you. You say, I'm not from the Autumn Court. Not from any court. She squints at you. Are you sure? Very. I'm from elsewhere. The ready aggression of her stance lessens somewhat, and her gaze changes from appraising to weighing. She nods once to herself and then chants, Corti, Cordati, or Spati. You finish with her, elsewhere universities sometimes motto. Wary, wise, and fortune-favoured. As with most things elsewhere, this is more true for some than others. Well, she huffs, that changes things. You still need to leave, from a court or not. You're sure as hell affiliated. Don't even try to tell me otherwise, but I can help you on your way. That pulls you up short, and she notices. I won't ask for payment for now, she says, smiling. You'll owe me a favour, but nothing big. I'm gonna help you on your way out. Avoid meeting the lady of the summer court who rules here, so maybe someday, when I'm ready to move on, you introduce me to someone in whichever court you're involved with. Yeah? Nice and symmetrical. You can agree with that. You bop your head once in agreement, then offer your hand to seal the deal. She takes your hand, grip firm, and the two of you pump your joined fists in tandem, once, twice, and thrice to seal the deal. I am called Crow Girl, you tell her, and she laughs. Guess we're both named for what we hang about, yeah? I'm called Appaloosa. Now, Crow Girl, come with me. You go with her. Appaloosa hides you in the back of a tack room, one of the many apparently, and currently just used for storage, Appaloosa tells you. Appaloosa tells you many things. For instance, she wasn't stolen. She had a contract with the lady who owns these lands, drawn up by Stacy in Law. You've never heard of Stacy in Law. You've never heard of employment contracts with the Fae either. When you tell her this, she looks at you funny, tells you she was one of the Ek girls. At your blank look, she continues, the Ek team, EQ, short for equestrian. When you tell her that there isn't an equestrian team at EU, she snorts and tells you, maybe not at your EU. Elsewhere University is an intersection more than anything else. The Fae love it just as much because it gives them a foothold in the human world, as they do for how it slides between wens, wares, and witches. The Fae aren't the only ones who love elsewhere for its transitory nature, but you've never had the luck, good or bad, to run into any of the other things, you think. She has duties to attend to for the rest of the day and much of the evening. You spend the hours reading Sight's book, and then, when your eyes refuse to pass the letters anymore, as much from the dimming light as from the strangeness of them, you try to doze. It's warm in the tack room, and you've repurposed a stack of saddle pads 3 feet high as a place to rest, leaned up against the wooden walls, curled up with a book and the scent of summer thick in your lungs. It's easy to drift off, even with your worry for the others taking up space in your stomach. Several times you wake isn't quite the right word. Several times you drift closer to consciousness and then drift back down into the grasp of sleep, as easy as the tide. You dream that you made a friend of a thing of the summer court instead of the crows, took up the sword instead of the pen, studied medieval literature instead of the modern mind. When you slipped, when you fell, when you faltered, they took you far away from elsewhere, from where the summer court stands subservient to the spring. They called you red-handed for the things they say you slay. You dream of biting into summer-ripe fruit, peaches, cherries, strawberries, nectarines, melons, a different fruit each time you fall, the taste like rust in your mouth, pits and rinds fallen by the wayside like gristle, like rib bones, red juices and pulp dripping down your skin. Your hands unto your chest and wrists until they cover, until that you are all over stained with it, until your touch is stained with it. It will never go away. You wake, and the dream fades, though not the tang of blood heavy upon your tongue, nor the feel of a blade heavy in your hands, and you wonder at the sensations, not knowing where they came from. To Appaloosa calling for you in hushed whispers, the shelves and tack around you turned unfamiliar with and sinister with the lack of light. You straighten up from where you've slumped against the wall, wipe the cobwebs away from where they've stretched across your eyelids, put your book back from in your bag, walk with careful step to where Appaloosa waits for you. When you get close enough to make eye contact, to make out her expression, you see it's grim, her sword loose in her sheath. I know where your companions are, she tells you. She's not happy about it. And that concludes part 6. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed that. Part 7 will be coming soon. Bye!